Hey, what is good, my people? Nick Nurse, Sixers head coach, and hopefully the savior of what is left of the process era, did an interview. And he said some interesting things, and something that he said might make you a little nervous. Let's check it out.
Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.
Perfect. Give me my hat.
Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.
Run it back, nation. What is good? It is your boy DJ Eastwood. Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Algo gang, do the thing. Give me 500 likes. You gave me 500 on the Kelly Oubre videos. I need 500. I need 750. 750 likes is the goal for this video. Drop a comment. Subscribe to the channel. Turn your notification bell on. Let's get it. All right. Shout out to Ky Carlin of the Sixers Wire. Here's the questions that were asked to Nick Nurse, and here's the responses. All right. This is an interesting one, Nick. One guy who hasn't been talked about a lot is Tobias Harris. How often do you fit him into your schemes? Nick says, I kind of believe in roles too. They're important, but I always throw a little bit of roles for now. This is your role now. I think Tobias is a great example. There's so much more he could possibly do. And that's interesting. There's so much more he could possibly do. It's kind of Nick Nurse looking at what Tobias Harris looked like under Doc Rivers. And I kind of want him to settle in and play his role that he's capable of playing, that he's got experience playing. But I want him to dream outside that role or expand outside that role eventually. I do keep a pretty loose lid on the roles, if that makes any sense, because I think there's some guys maybe that never shoot a three-pointer before, and they're not bad, and we may need them to shoot threes or whatever it is. But this is, I still am so blown away at how polar opposite this guy is from Doc Rivers. Just complete opposite. Open-minded. Keep a loose lid. Maybe they never shot a three-pointer and they're not bad. We need them to shoot threes or whatever it is. Paul Reed would be a good example for us for that. When we got James and Joel out there, there's going to be some open threes. So let's start to open up their minds a little bit and let's get working on it and let's see what happens. Things like that. Interesting that he says when we got James and Joel out there. I guess he has to say that. He has to assume James is going to be there. He probably doesn't think James is going to be there. Nobody knows, but just an interesting little point. Question, Paul Reed mentioned something called the Nurse pill. What exactly is that? And Nurse says that's more for kind of the basics of shooting. We use it for a lot of our kids' camps. We just did a camp for 110 kids. It's a visual learning aid for kids to learn how to shoot quickly. We're just always trying to find a better, faster, quicker way that they can comprehend the knowledge and get better quicker. Can you learn how to shoot quickly? I guess we'll see if Paul Reed improves in his shooting. He was people don't mention enough that Paul Reed was a decent three-point shooter in college and in the G League. He just didn't shoot threes in the NBA under Doc Rivers. So, maybe what he already had combined with Nick Nurse, Paul Reed actually does become a stretch four. Listen, about a day or two after I had the job, we went in the gym with Paul Reed and we just tried to start making a couple mechanical adjustments on his shooting for him to see if he couldn't shoot it a little better. It's really been going good. I think he's going to have a good season. Let's go, Nick. Let's go. I think Paul Reed has so much potential. I might be just sipping the tea again or drinking the Kool-Aid again, or maybe the signing of Kelly Oubre because his hair is so cool that I'm excited to watch the Sixers again, but I'm getting excited, man. It is what it is, dude. Here you go. The NBA has a new resting policy that encourages teams to play their star players. As a basketball fan, how do you feel about it? Who's Max? You want your stars to show up. Blah, 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 blah. Nick, as a basketball coach, how do you manage Embiid now when considering the resting policy? And Nick Nurse says this. I think we're looking at it maybe a little bit different than people think we might be. We're trying to get him to play more games. Our goal is that it's going to be up for him, but not the other direction. And some people would say, oh, that's the playoffs. Is he going to be? We're just trying to get it going the other direction. That gave me a headache. I think that's just what our people believe here, that he can play. And again, knock on wood, cross our fingers, all that stuff. There's always things that can come up with that stuff, but I don't know. I believe in the guys playing as much as they can. And let's see what happens. Let me think. Well, Joel Embiid playing as much as he can results in, I mean, if we just look at recent history, Joel Embiid being injured. I mean, I don't know, Nick. I don't know. I believe in the guys playing as much as they can, and let's see what happens. No, what's going to happen is he's going to get hurt. We already know what happens. We've seen it. Holy hell. Holy hell. Our hope is that we finally get Joel Embiid healthy for a playoff series since 2019. And Nick Nurse is saying, we're going to play him as much as possible and see what happens. I am conflicted on this. Hopefully, Nick Nurse is just saying this to appease the NBA. And I think either way, you can't really force players to play. I think either way, you know, if Joel plays a lot of games in a row and back-to-backs and things like that, and then, you know, a random Monday morning he has a sore knee, they're not going to play him. So I guess this quote maybe doesn't really change much. I would have liked Nick Nurse to say, we're going to play Joel as much as we can while also concentrating on managing him to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. But that's not what he said. Should this make me nervous? You let me know in the comments. Does that make you nervous? Because all I heard from Toronto Raptors fans the whole summer was, yeah, wait till he runs your players into the ground. Wait till he plays Joel Embiid 38 minutes a game and runs them into the ground. And then he just says, I believe in guys playing as much as they can. Let's see what happens. You let me know what you think. I am hoping that that's just flat out not what he's going to do. I don't know what else to say about it. Nick, you started pulling out some of those crazy schemes in the Summer League. Is that what Sixers fans should expect this season? The funny thing about all that stuff is almost always it comes to me on the spur of the moment as what's needed right now. That is insane. That's just amazing, bro. I mean, this is literally the philosophy we've wanted from a basketball coach since before Brett Brown. You know, Brett Brown would pull Joel Embiid out at 6-minute mark in the first quarter. Didn't matter how it was going, what the score was, how good Joel was playing, if he looked ready to continue. It didn't matter. It was like he came into the game with a pre-plan and he followed it to a T. Doc Rivers, same exact way. It looked like he had the game plan and he stuck to it no matter what happened throughout the course of the game. That was always probably my biggest complaint about him. You know, if PJ Tucker gave you an absolute goose egg in the first half, he would just run him out there the second half the same amount. It never changed. This is a guy that's saying, I come up with things on the spur of the moment as to what's needed in the current game situation. Like we need to do this for whatever reason. Full court press. I don't know. There's a whole list of things I could tell you why we need to do it, but it just feels like the right time to do it. And yeah, we usually get some success out of them. If we do, we do put it in our playoff toolbox. Experimenting during the season so that you have a toolbox for the playoffs. Wow, what a breath of fresh air. And again, I don't think basketball is very complicated. I don't think it takes a genius. I think it's a lot of this stuff. I'm not trying to sound arrogant or whatever. I don't consider myself a basketball expert. I just think it's simple. A lot of this stuff is just common sense. Very common sense. But you get these guys like Doc and whoever else that just get on such a high horse. They think they are a scientist of the game. And they think, I did this for 15 years and I did this and I did that. And their ego takes over and their way is the right way. And they outsmart themselves. This is a guy who already has an NBA championship, who has championships in the G League, who has championships in the British League, who can still put his ego aside and say, we're going to try something. If it doesn't work, we won't do it again. We're going to try something else. If it works, we put it in our playoff toolbox. I mean, I couldn't be happier about Nick Nurse so far. I just couldn't be happier, man. If we do, we put it in our playoff toolbox. If it doesn't work, whatever funky thing we try, we crumble it up real quick. We throw it in the waste bin, in the waste bin, and we don't revisit. But we got to try a bunch of stuff to see what we can come up with. Wow, like, I can't keep going back to it, but I mean, like, Doc Rivers not experimenting with Paul Reed and Charles Bassey and Isaiah Joe throughout the regular season and eventually having these guys cut and waived. I mean, it's going to haunt me. It's going to keep me up at night. This upcoming NBA season, when Isaiah Joe is inevitably one of the best three-point shooters in the game again, it's going to haunt me. When Charles Bassey sets another record for rebounds and blocks off the bench for the San Antonio Spurs, it's going to haunt me. So I'm just so happy that's over, man. You know what I mean? A lot of people think I do a YouTube channel just to scream and complain all the time, but the whole Brett Brown era, the Ben Simmons era, I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was unbelievably frustrating. I don't do this just to get up here and yell and scream. I want the team to be good. I want to enjoy watching the team. I have not enjoyed it for a long time. That's just a fact. It's just what it is. Nick, what are you looking for from Tyrese Maxey on both ends of the floor? We'll start on the defensive. I think he's blessed with all that speed and quickness. I think we need to figure out a way for him to use it for a little bit of more disruptive situations. Hey, let's, if Maxey can improve his on-ball defense, I'm all for that. And I love that Nick Nurse focuses on that right off the jump. I think he's so fast that he can get to the ball a little bit more and disrupt the guy he's guarding or get in passing lanes or whatever offensively. Offensively, he just needs, to me, he's awesome again with his speed. His shooting has really gotten good from deep. I want him to create more for others. I want him to see a little bit more of the floor and see where his teammates are. And eventually, when he's scoring so much that they're going to start sending multiple bodies at him, I want him to be able to see who's open. I want Tyrese Maxey to become a point guard, Nick Nurse says. Is there anything else we need to look at here? Max, I still don't know who Max is. PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker's a guy who does a lot for a team. How does he fit into the game plan? Nick says, I coached him in Toronto. I loved when we had him there. He is really specialist. He's this. I love that he uses the word specialist, meaning I'm not going to play PJ Tucker 35 minutes a game. I'm going to play him the 17 to 19 minutes a game like they did in Milwaukee when they won a championship. There isn't a whole lot of guys that hang their hat on just being really tough. He's a veteran. He's smart. He guards. And he'll hurt you with that corner three. That's the thing that I want to see him get back to, is parking in that corner and pulling that trigger fearlessly time after time, because he's had some great seasons. That's the thing that I want to see him get back to. And he says pulling the trigger fearlessly. So Nick Nurse, just like your boy DJ Eastwood, witnessed PJ Tucker pump faking wide open threes in the corner, and he said to himself, what the fuck is going on here? Why isn't he shooting the ball? And it was all Doc Rivers. Blame Doc Rivers for everything. Please save my life, Nick. Just please. Max, still don't know who Max is. Who cares? Thank you both for taking time out of your day to do this. Nurse and Kerman. Max Kerman? Somebody tell me who Max Kerman is. Am I an idiot for not knowing who that is? Either way, thank you for tuning in. Give me all your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Hit the like button. All that stuff, man. I'm out of here. Peace.